Coming up next on Making Moves, JTA helps evacuate residents from a Southside apartment fire. The future of Jacksonville transportation has arrived, how you can take a test drive. Sacramento Regional Transit's Director of Planning joins us in studio to talk about their efforts to replicate JTA's route optimization and the reason a local pastor dumped his car for JTA. I'm Donna. These stories and more right now on Making Moves. Hello and welcome to Making Moves. I'm Donna Deegan and welcome to our new home here in Studio 1V. We're happy to have you with us. On today's show, we'll hear from a former JTA transportation planner who is now leading the effort to replicate JTA's bus route optimization initiative in Sacramento, California. We'll show you where JTA's latest park and ride facility will be built and what will be available at that site. And Terry Casey shares the unique reason a local pastor gave up his car for JTA. Then we head to the west side with Catalina Alers-Alers for a tremendous edition of Around Town on JTA. But we begin on the south side, where JTA responded to an urgent situation in the early morning hours of December 18th. You know, it's common for JTA to transport people from one destination to another. That's what we do every day of the year. But in emergency situations, they are also called upon to evacuate people to safety. Such was the case last month when the townhouse apartment building at 3465 Phillips Highway caught fire, according to Jacksonville Fire and Rescue. The fire started on the 8th floor of the 10-story building. 5 people were taken to the hospital and 4 JTA buses were dispatched to the scene to evacuate nearly 300 residents to nearby shelters and other safe locations throughout the morning. Special kudos go out to JTA operators Steve Hutton, Michelle Lewis, Anthony Joseph, and Felipe Montalvo for taking care of the evacuees during what was obviously a very stressful time. You may also remember that JTA performed similar evacuation operations back in October when Hurricane Irma struck Jacksonville. The future of Jacksonville's transportation is now on display directly across from the sports complex with the unveiling of JTA's new autonomous vehicle test track. Making Moves correspondent Eugene Lindsay was on hand for the opening and got reaction from city leaders on the possibility of driverless vehicles coming to Jacksonville.
This autonomous mode of transportation has been in operation in downtown Jacksonville for over 30 years now. It's been called the Skyway, the Skyway Express, and the People Mover, but most would argue that the expectations of its success was never realized. Welcome to the future of mass transportation. This is the Easy 10, a completely autonomous ultimate urban circulator. It's the first driverless shuttle to hit the road on the JTA's new autonomous vehicle test track.
This is a fully autonomous shuttle following a pre-programmed route. And it uses laser sensors, a sensor called LiDAR, and GPS to navigate on the path that we've programmed here. So this vehicle is battery powered, 100% battery powered. It has enough battery to operate for about 10 hours at a time. Max speed of 25-30 miles an hour.
For the next 2 years, this track will put a variety of autonomous vehicles to the test. Every 6 months, the JTA will bring in a new vehicle from different manufacturers. The objective is to study, observe, analyze, and get feedback to how this driverless technology would integrate with the Skyway and along Jacksonville streets.
This test track is really a test and learn facility. This will be an opportunity for us to look at multiple and numerous different AV technologies that are being developed around the world that will support our decision making as it relates to the replacement and upgrade and expansion of the Skyway.
We're going to learn a lot, and as we go, we're really going to learn a lot more because we're going to figure out issues like ADA accessibility, how does the vehicle function in certain environments, and as we go we're going to test different vehicles, and we're going to add the complexity to the system.
Transit officials say an important element of this 2-year study on autonomous vehicles is feedback from the public, so that when they begin planning and developing the system, the end result will be a transit system citizens would appreciate. On this initial test run, local citizens were in fact on hand and came along for the ride.
Oh, I thought it was really exciting. I think the innovation is great, and it was extremely safe. I know they have a lot of protocols that they use, and they've tested it before they'd allow people like us to get on it and try it. It's definitely safer than a 16-year-old texting and driving.
I think in any case, I would have more confidence in a automotive vehicle than I do in a lot of the drivers that I share the road with. Because whenever I go out driving, I see all kind of tailgating, speeding, all kind of things going on.
There was enough space for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders, a couple of people standing up, and a great big wheelchair. So that's a good thing.
Officials say this is all a part of JTA's effort to modernize and expand the existing Skyway with a focus on economic development and fulfilling the vision of the Downtown Investment Authority. CEO Nat Ford says this autonomous transit system will have a much greater impact on communities than the Skyway could ever have.
A fully built out U2C can reach far beyond the existing Skyway footprint. It could reach into La Villa, it could reach into Brooklyn, it could reach into Springfield. So we should be very, very excited about this opportunity to take the Skyway infrastructure, repurpose it, and then develop the cutting edge technology for the future.
In Jacksonville, Eugene Lindsay, JTA, making moves.
3 years ago, the JTA launched its much-heralded Route Optimization Initiative, or ROI. Since then, transit agencies across the country have been using the JTA ROI template to overhaul their own bus systems. The latest looking to match JTA's success is Sacramento Regional Transit in California. And the man responsible for making that happen is a Jacksonville native. He joins us now, and James Boyle. Hey, a Jacksonville native, went to Lee High School and on to Florida State.
Yes, that's right.
We were talking about some things we have in common. Great to have you home. You're the new director of planning for Sacramento Regional Transit. You also spent 7 years as the regional transportation planner at JTA before leaving to go work in Anchorage, Alaska. Wow, how was that? That has to be amazing. But first of all, we're thrilled to have you here. You are certainly no stranger to the show. You've been on this show a bunch of times.
Yes, I have. It's great to be back home, Donna. Great to be back on the show. And that's correct. I was a guest on the show many times, many years ago when the show actually first started.
Well, lots of really cool things going on in Sacramento. I know
Yes.
we were talking a little bit about the history there. You were saying that it's really somewhat similar to Jacksonville in some ways.
It is. Sacramento is very similar to Jacksonville, slightly larger in terms of population, but it's a river city. There's a river that flows through downtown, and we have bridges, and so our traffic gets a little constrained, with cars trying to cross over the rivers at certain points, and Jacksonville has those same issues. So
were you, when you were still here at JTA, were you here when the ROI launched?
I was here at the very beginning part of that process. So I was here when we started the data collection and hired the contractor to come in and help. And I was here for probably about 10 to 11 months during the first phases of that. But an opportunity arose for me to move to Alaska, and so I took it and left everything behind and followed it from afar.
So the city of Anchorage also launched a system overhaul that's similar to ROI, is that correct?
Yes, they did. They went through, it was about a 2-year process for them. They had a great deal of public involvement. It was broken into 2 phases. So their first phase was basically just getting feedback from the city, the community, in terms of what they wanted their transit system to look like.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, very much so.
Right. And so, how was that received there? I mean, was that received in a very positive way in Alaska?
It was. They had a lot of great comments from the public, very good attendance at their meetings, and they implemented their new system a few months ago. It went over very well, and they're doing pretty well in terms of ridership and the system actually functioning.
Now you were telling me that in terms of implementing ROI in Sacramento, a lot of the things that we've implemented here recently, you've actually had in Sacramento for some time. But in terms of ROI, this is sort of a new experience there.
Yes, the transit system in Sacramento is based really around their light rail system. Sacramento has 47 miles of light rail, which they started constructing back in 1987, so they were a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of building light rail. We have a very vast bus system that feeds into our light rail system, but it's been over 30 years since the bus system has been redesigned or looked at. So what we're doing in Sacramento is basically taking a blank slate approach, starting with just a blank sheet of paper and going out to the public, and we're looking at least a full year of public involvement and public engagement.
Well, you know, as we've learned here, obviously that is absolutely key to making something successful. If you learn from folks what it is that will make their lives easier, and in Sacramento, you really need to drive some of that behavior because you've seen some declining ridership over the years. I think, what have you lost 30% of your ridership?
Yeah, ridership has been trending downwards, not only in Sacramento, but across the country. Sacramento was hard hit by the recession, and the transit agency made some pretty drastic cuts back in 2010. 20% of our bus service was reduced. Fares were increased. So those both negatively impact ridership.
Where are you in the process right now? I mean, when is this actually going to kick off?
Well, we actually just awarded a contract to our contractors, Jarrett Walker Associates out of Portland, Oregon. They're going to come in and help lead our effort. So starting as soon as I get back on January 2nd, we're going to kick the whole thing off.
A recent article on govtech.com talks about the effect that Uber and Lyft have had on the industry. And I know in talking with Nat Ford here, he says, you know, I feel like we have to sort of work together with those folks to try to make sure we can both be part of the mix, because if we're just trying to fight against them, it's not going to work out in our favor. What are your thoughts about that? Because that really does obviously take some ridership away from public transit.
It does, and I look at it the way Nat Ford does. I mean, I think that we have to work with them. We need to build partnerships with them. They're really important in helping us connect that last mile. A lot of terms in transit you hear, well, you can get me from point A to point A and a half, but I need to get to B, right?
Right.
How do I make that connection? Uber and Lyft and those types of services are very helpful when it comes to that. But there's a lot we can learn on the transit side from Uber and Lyft in terms of using apps, you know, real-time information, you know, calling a transit vehicle to come pick you up. One of the things that we're experimenting with in Sacramento is a micro transit type project, which is sort of based off of Uber Lyft process, but we're using transit vehicles.
Okay.
So
how would that work, though? I mean, you'd have sort of would this be sort of a floating few
well,
transit
there would be
vehicles
some transit vehicles out and about,
Okay.
right? And so if you want to ride, you would grab your phone as if you were going to do Uber Lyft. You could locate where the vehicle is, request a ride, and it would deviate and it would come pick you up.
Okay.
And it actually is cheaper than calling an Uber or Lyft. So there's several agencies across the country experimenting with what we call micro-transit. So it's kind of like this new thing that's emerging in transit right now.
Well, that is super smart. I can't wait to watch all this unfold. And as I said to you earlier this morning when we were chatting, I hope at some point we bring your talents back here to Jacksonville. We'd love to have you.
My mother would very much love that.
Mom, we're working on it. Okay. In the meantime, Sacramento is not the worst place in the world to live.
No, it's a great place.
Well, welcome home. Enjoy the holidays, and I hope that I hope we see you back here again very soon. Again, James Boyle, the Director of Planning for Sacramento Regional Transit. And still to come, we'll tell you where JTA's newest park and ride facility is being built and what amenities it's going to have.
I'm Terry Casey. Coming up, a Jacksonville man gives up his car to ride JTA. Wait till you find out who told him to do it.
Catalina Alers-Alers takes us to the west side for some down-home barbecue when we go around the town on JTA. Then later, Bill Milnes unveils the top transportation story of 2017. Don't go away.
Blake running to the left now, stays behind the line, fires toward the end zone, wants Allen Hurns, diving attempt!
Football season is here, and there's only one place you can hear Jaguars football. 1010XL 92.5 FM, the official radio station of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Touchdown, Jacksonville!
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
You're watching Making Moves, honored by the American Public Transportation Association with its 2017 AdWheel Award for Excellence in Television and Video.
Welcome back to Making Moves. JTA is getting ready to start construction on a new park and ride that will be the southern hub for the First Coast Flyer Blue Line. The park and ride will be located next to the Navy Federal Credit Union in the Avenues Walk development. When it's completed later in 2018, the facility will have 83 parking spaces, bike racks, and a 2,400 square foot customer service building with waiting area, restrooms, and ticketing. Along with the Blue Line, 3 other routes will also connect at the facility. If you live in St. Johns County, the Sunshine Bus Purple Line will also serve the Avenues Walk Park and Ride. Over the past few months, we've featured several customer stories called Why I Ride JTA. The reasons they've chosen JTA are as varied as the people themselves, but this one may set the record for uniqueness. Making Moves senior correspondent Terry Casey introduces us to a local pastor who says it was a little divine guidance that led him to JTA, and it has completely changed the way he looks at life and the people in it.
It isn't all that unusual for people with cars to make a switch and choose to ride JTA. There are a number of reasons, but typically it's to save money or perhaps for environmental reasons. We found an exception to all the reasons, typical and otherwise, and it led us to Southside United Methodist Church and Pastor Bruce Jones.
Well, believe it or not, I was searching for something to give up for Lent.
He chose to ride JTA, but his reasons may be a first.
God just spoke into my heart that I needed to give up my car. And it took me about 5 seconds to realize that that meant I had to take the bus. And that's how I got on the bus.
He'd never ridden JTA, didn't know how or what to do. He got answers on the JTA website.
I found videos that were very helpful.
In this tip, we'll show you how to flag down and board the bus.
I found instructional documents on how much does it cost? And as well, I found out that JTA wants to help you and make the process as easy as possible.
He put his car in mothballs to go exploring for the first time aboard a JTA bus. His expectations were not high.
I didn't think riding the bus was going to be much fun. I just thought it would be grueling, and found out that it was fun, relaxing, and plenty of times it was adventurous. I rode about every day. I went to the beach, I went to downtown, I went to the north side, I went out to the airport. I mean, I just went as far as you could go in most any direction just to see what it was like.
Meanwhile, the pastor's decision to go with JTA wasn't going over big, with one exception.
My wife was very supportive. My children thought I had completely lost my mind. The jury's still out on the rest of my friends and congregation. I think they picked up some of the fun of it, and I trust a few of them have made bus rides themselves.
Here's what took him by surprise on his JTA rides.
The thing that really impressed me were the drivers. Interesting drive. Thank you so much.
He was struck by their professionalism and the courtesy, respect, and assistance they offer their passengers, as well as special help for those in wheelchairs.
Drivers were really servants to the disabled, and it touched me deeply.
I have my seatbelt on, thank you.
And what about the flip side of that coin?
Well, the two worst things were heat and rain. The weather is not kind to bus riders sometimes.
When Pastor Bruce Jones gave up his car for Lent to begin a journey with JTA, he didn't know what he was getting into and didn't expect some of what he got. He knows now and wouldn't trade it for the world.
I didn't see a lot of things coming. I didn't see that it was going to help me build relationships.
He met new people, built relationships with them, and in the process, created lasting memories. The same kind of experience you can have.
Get to know them, meet them, be with them. You'll have an extraordinary time.
And to any who may be hesitant about riding,
it's safe, it's comfortable, it's clean, it's a good environment.
He uses his car more now, but still catches JTA.
I don't ride the buses regularly, but I do ride it frequently.
And he admits he's hooked on JTA for good.
Yes, absolutely.
In San Marco, Terry Casey, JTA Making Moves.
It's time now to go around town on JTA, and this time correspondent Catalina Alers-Alers goes deep onto the west side to Hurlong Road. And directly across the street from runway 25 at Hurlong Airport, you'll find Treemendous Barbecue. When you see the pink pig out front, you know things are about to get tremendous.
If you catch yourself heading down busy Hurlong Road on Jacksonville's west side, slow down to have a bite at Treemendous Barbecue. You can tell just by looking at the anatomical humor on the sign and polka-dotted pig outside that it has some personality. Inside, the menu is full of smoked meats cooked low and slow for 14 hours by owner Terry Roundtree. He's been serving up Southern favorites for 10 years, and he works hard to make the menu as perfect as possible.
Definitely have to have ribs and chicken. I mean, that's one of the things that you have to have, and you can't do barbecue without pork. And you know, Texas claims the right on brisket, but I think we're pushing them. It's all original. It's all our recipes. We make our own sauce. Everything's made from scratch. We enjoy what we do. We enjoy our customers.
Terry says Treemendous customers are loyal, and it was easy to see and mostly smell why when he invited us into the belly of the kitchen.
This is a smoker. It's actually a Southern Pride. It's probably one of the biggest ones they make.
So what do we got going on in here today?
We have spare ribs. We have smoked turkey, beef, which everything's smoked. We actually smoke it, then we wrap it in foil, kind of breaks it down, makes it a little more tender. I call this the big set it and forget it. It's just a big rotisserie.
The smokiness, I'm not even mad that my hair is going to smell like
oh,
this
it's going to smell like
afterwards.
smoke. Yeah, it's definitely going to.
Customers like Cindy and Michael Cunningham know smelling like barbecue for the rest of the day is worth it, as long as they get to have their favorite meal.
The pork. I always stick to the pork. I never change.
I don't know what they do, so something they do makes it tremendous.
The meat is obviously the star of the show, but you can't forget about some of the sides. Collard greens, lima beans, green beans, and the crowd favorite, mac and cheese.
Elbow macaroni, Velveeta cheese, cheddar cheese.
Simple and heavenly. Terry was born and raised on the west side. He's always felt a special connection to the community as a business owner.
I still remember the first customer that came in and bought the first salad. Yeah.
What does that mean to you, being here for 10 years?
It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. You know, we try to give back to the community. Every month in September, we feed all first responders for free for the whole month. Even with doing that, it's still the best month we ever have.
Even before Treemendous Barbecue became a JTA Jacksonville Gem partner, he always looked out for the bus riders.
What made you want to join JTA's Jacksonville Gem partnership?
It's actually it's not a bad deal, you know, for us and the riders also. I mean, the bus stop is literally right across the street from the restaurant, and you know, it's the people that ride the bus. We want to support them too, and you know, we appreciate their support. But we actually have had some that get off of the bus, come in and eat, and just catch the next bus out.
Hungry and on the west side, Catalina Alers-Alers, JTA Making Moves.
2017 was another momentous year for the JTA, and Making Moves covered it all. So what do you think was the transportation story of 2017? Here are some to consider. A year ago, the authority launched the First Coast Flyer Blue Line from downtown to the avenues, held an autonomous vehicle demonstration, kicked off a year-long ridership campaign, partnered with the Beaches Company to provide local rides in the 3 beaches communities, unveiled its ultimate urban circulator initiative to replace the Skyway, broke ground on a new regional transportation center, and our CEO took over a top transportation industry leadership role. Email us your choice for the top story to makingmovestv.com. And then stick around, because after the break, we'll reveal what we selected as the top story of the year in Jacksonville transportation. We'll be right back.
For most of us, eating healthy is just a matter of choice. We go to the nearest supermarket and pick out all the fresh produce we want.
But how healthy would you be if all you had nearby was fast food restaurants and convenience stores filled with junk food and frozen pizzas? Every Friday, JTA's Rosa Parks Produce Market is helping you eat healthier with lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, all at reasonable prices. Rosa Parks helped change our world. Now the Rosa Parks Produce Market can help change your life.
Sports Talk legends Dan Hickett and Jeff Prosser tackle the big issues.
Is that the one who has the matching surgeries with her daughter? It was the largest pokey adventure in the United States.
I mean, you're throwing whoredom into the Bible this morning.
It was a lesson.
What is the lesson? Read the book, kids. There's some cool words in there.
I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm a marketing guy now.
And sometimes they talk sports.
Aroldis Chapman to the Cubs.
Great move for the Cubs.
The Drill with Hickett and Prosser. Weekday mornings on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Welcome back. Before the break, we told you about some of the top transportation stories of 2017 that we've covered here on Making Moves, and we asked you to pick what you thought was your number one. Well, joining us now to unveil what the staff has chosen as the top story of 2017 is Making Moves executive producer Bill Milnes. And Bill, this was not an easy decision. So many great stories this year.
Absolutely, Donna, but we finally narrowed it down to three choices, and I think they're very, very obvious and very impactful. You have obviously Nat Ford becoming the chairman of the American Public Transportation Association, the U2C, the ultimate urban circulator, kind of replacing the Skyway in the beginning stages of that, and then of course the construction of the JRTC, the Regional Transportation Center.
Yeah, all those, three of those, very impactful, easily could make a case for any of them.
But the top story is the construction of the JRTC. And when you think about how that one project will help revitalize an entire neighborhood that's frankly been dormant since the 1990s, the impact it's already having with the new residential construction in La Villa, new commercial businesses already planning to come in, the expansion of transit services in Jacksonville to eventually include commuter rail, and having a new modern iconic structure at the western edge of downtown instead of parking lots. It will be the new home for Greyhound and Megabus. So for those reasons, the Jacksonville Regional Transportation Center is our top story of 2017.
And as we saw earlier in the show, Phase 1 nearly complete now.
Absolutely. In just a few weeks, Phase 1 will be complete. That is the Greyhound building and the Megabus facility. And then, of course, the JRTC will be completed in the end of 2019. And that will be a fabulous building. And they have the new bus terminal there. So all these new multimodal services being offered. So it's going to be great.
You heard it here first. Fabulous. It's going to be great. Great stuff. Bill Milnes, the man, the myth, the legend.
That would be me.
Thank you so much. And that wraps up this episode of Making Moves. We thank you so much for taking time to join us. Remember, you can check out past episodes anytime online at jtafla.com. And you can also find stories and other exclusive content when you like our Facebook page at facebook.com/JTA Making Moves. For Bill Milnes and our entire Making Moves team, I'm Donna Deegan. We hope to see you next time for another edition of Making Moves. Take care, everyone.